to the next thing. Hobbycon art direction. So this one, I have to go back to March. March, I met with CINIC. I don't know if you're familiar with CINIC, Sabah Creative Economy Innovation Center. They have the Innovation Center, which is about IT and tech, but they've also got one which is towards creative. In Sabah, there are 13 pillars that stand for creative. So culinary is creative, fashion is creative, art and animation is creative, many other things. When we spoke with them about ACG, they are actually very surprised Sabah got this kind of scene. Because for them, ACG scene is cosplay. You know, right? I mean, like if you talk to a normie, ACG quote unquote equals cosplay. But when we told them ACG stands for animation, comics and games, there's animation, there's comics, there's games, they're very happy. A lot of young people and young professionals are into this. So the second thing, we got into a conversation, then they asked, this ACG, the booth vendors and everything, do you all only draw Japanese stuff? I said, not all, but majority lah. Majority. And majority are fan art stuff. This is the part where we felt like we want to, I'm trying to find the proper word because I don't want to misquoted. We're trying to align a little differently. If you're doing art and creative, at least for the government behind side, right, from the young people, they want to see it as a skill and something you do that is beneficial back to the society and quote unquote nation building. For us in Sabah, it means exporting our Sabahan culture, our Sabahan folklore, our Sabahan art. That's one part. Another part, can you sell Sabahan IP? Which can be your cat you draw, or your dog you draw, or whatever, but that's specifically yours. You sell the mark to your IP and things like that. Interesting idea, but I also understand in the ACG scene, not everybody buys my OC, not everybody buys my IP. This is what we also brought to them. Okay? We went to KL, we went to CF, AMG, all this kind of thing also we've seen lah. But there is this wanting to push that boundary now. So what we are saying is this. If you have always had an OC or IP that you want to do, okay, try to do it. We are not restricting fan art. First of all, we are not restricting fan art. But we are going to have a slight more leaning towards those of you who are doing your IP. If you sell 70% your IP, 30% fan art, masih boleh. If you sell 20% your IP, 80% fan art, we'll try and see how to work that out. But the whole point is right now is that we are looking for more artists that is willing to push your own IP out. Now, CINIC also has a lot of things for this. They've got grants for this. If you're pushing your IP, there's a potential you can actually ask for grants. Okay? These grants, I'm not saying you'll get 100%. We have to work for it. Okay? You have to show that you got process and everything like that. There is a possibility that through this, showing your IP and your OC or whatever, you can get to link with them, to link with the studios that are under them to get your further study or your course or whatever. The upskilling lah. Okay? Which I believe some of the artists at the back, they came for SEC, CINIC was there, they saw what they like, they straight away recommend, take this course. So if you have a career that you want to do more seriously, you can consider it, okay? So these are some things that we are trying to work with them, and therefore the Hobbycon roadmap will lean towards there. The Hobbycon roadmap is also changing the way we treat the private rooms. There is no more Star Pass, because there's no more cosplay private meet and greet. We have decided to switch that over to give it to, not give, sorry, but like try to work more with CINIC and the art scene here. So when we went to, after the March meeting with CINIC, they also sent us April to Sarawak to check out the Sarawak Creative Aid event under Sabah delegates. And when I went there, I was together with a few other Sabahan animation studios. Okay, these animation studios are trying to push their local folklore. I don't know if you know them. Some of them are called Siong Film, some of them are called Ace Studio, Ace Production, things like that. They're coming up with their webtoon. They're coming up with a webtoon. They're coming up with a future animation, an episodic thing, and things like that. There is also another one called Inspedia, Inside CINIC in Sabah KKIP. Basically, all the Sabahan local studios here need more Sabahan animators and Sabahan artists. They don't want to import from KL if possible. The problem is they don't know how to get to you. They also don't know you exist, and they cannot come out to event because they are very rushed in catching deadlines. So what we do is, this year we had Sabah Comic and Creative, if you remember, we did not open the registration form because we wanted to try something very different. We specifically picked these studios, we specifically picked with all the CINIC punya partners and very specific creatives to come. And then they had a very good crossover. So a lot of Sabahan comic book artists found shop owners that want them, found the government willing to work with them, and we also did something called the portfolio review. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. The portfolio review is like this. You will have either Scenic or you have either the local studio artist there on a table or on a chair. For this year, we will try to give them that room where they will be. So if you're familiar with business matching meetup, if you're familiar with that process, it's the same thing. You as an artist can bring your project, can bring your IP, can bring your artwork or portfolio. You go to them. Hello, Mr. Geoffrey from A Studio. This is my work. Please comment on it. Or this is my work. I'm looking for a job. Or this is my work. Can we work in future collaboration? So this is the kind of connection we're trying to work with. It's because we don't want it to be another Hobbycon where you come for that 2 days and then after 2 days you chow, nothing happens. We're trying to create a Hobbycon where after you come, you meet certain people inside. And when you leave the event, either there's a future career choice, a training choice, or there is a network being built there. Okay? There is a feedback. And even better if it's a government-linked body like Scenic, even better if it's a commercial like the art studios. So this is what we say we are changing our art direction. A little less on the cosplay, not cutting it out, a little less on the cosplay, trying to focus back towards the art side and creative, but trying to focus, if possible, more local IPs and OCs. Okay? That is just the only thing we wanted to bring up lah. Alright? So whether this sits well with you, okay, maybe you got your own thing you want to push, good. It doesn't sit well with you because you're purely a fan art vendor, don't worry, we're not saying we cut you out. Okay? It's just that we're going to have a little leaning towards where? Itu saja. Because even for fan art, as you can hear, there's a lot of vetting that needs to go through lah. Alright? So that's all for the
questions from online. Questions from online. Talking about IP and fan arts, if the artists who do fandom merge fan arts, but they try to include like Sabahan culture IP crossover, contohnya Genshin fan art including some Sabahan IPs, where character in Genshin wear Sabahan traditional clothes, does that count?
So my first round is to let the vetters decide first whether that breaks IP copyright or not first. If they say it's okay, then I think okay, and we encourage that because it's actually selling our culture lah. Okay, but because I am not familiar whether Genshin has a particular like tak boleh kind of thing.
For Genshin, as far as I know, they actually do allow the sale of fan art as long as it's not commercial. So not in large quantity and then that commercialized.
Not over 1,000, right?
Yeah, they have a certain number for you to. I think they have a certain number that you can sell. You have to sell below that.
Yeah, so I think the best is to read the fine print in the MiHoYo T and C lah. Safer for everyone. But it will still need to go through vetting from apalah, third party lah. Okay. Anyone else has a question?
Okay, so I have a question. Hearing the direction moving forward, because I'm smack right in between. I know that the one with OC is very illustration based, which is a very normie form of art and career path in the creative side. Whereas there's also another, which is our current one, which is the Hobbycon anime convention type. So this is, if we are moving towards OC or illustration kind of an art event, I don't know how you're going to see it, but it might destroy the purpose of having fandoms and discussing on animes and whatnot because the community is two separate communities.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean. So that's why we're saying that, that's why, thank you for coming, that's why you gotta understand, when I say leaning, I don't mean tidak mau. What I'm saying is that if let's say I have 20 booths, okay, I might give 12 to an IP guy and 8 to a fan art person. But even that, as I mentioned, if your IP is 70% and 30% is still fan art, which is still fan art, yeah, you still fall under the category of the IP side. Okay, so that could mean like all 20 booths, you could have 8 which is pure fan art, you could have 12 which is I have 70% IP but I still got 30% fan art, and your fan art will still be preserved. Because we also, both Scenic and I have this understanding that yes, we're not trying to convert the entire ACG scene to become a cultural scene. But we just know that we need to touch on it, but not trying to destroy the past ecosystem, so to speak. It's the way to look at it is like this. If you go to CF, my wife and I been there a few times, right? We actually look for things that are not necessarily anime. So like there's a few, long time ago, there's this brand called QPP. 2 dots, a heart, and it's just a white mark. And there are many white marks on that variation. So we buy stuff like that. That's the person's own IP. But on the side, they still sell, at times with Devil May Cry, they still sell Devil May Cry punya stuff. So that's the kind of hope that we are hoping to see. Okay? Another way to look at it is if you've been to Jakarta GameCon, it's also like that. If you've been to Jakarta GameCon, I think that is a very good example of how you mix your culture and your old commercial things together, where instead of your typical zombie blasting, right, it's a Bomo blasting, your Sihir towards whatever thing like that, but your Nusantara culture punya thing and lore. So even if I know it's not from a previous IP, it is its own IP, right? We are very interested to buy and purchase it. And we know this is even better because this one very hard to art theft in the event, okay? In the event. And I know that I want to support this artist straight away. But if I come to an event, everything is fan art, I become, unless I'm very good friend with you, I buy from you, it becomes which one is cheaper. So that's the also other thing. Okay, that's at least that's what the mindset that we're thinking of. We could be wrong.
As someone who used to do 80-20% more on IP, usually for ACG events, I would even sometimes make, because you say a lot about 70% is our own IP, 30% is fan art, you're kind of leaning towards booths who are doing that kind of percentage when it comes to their inventory. But because it's an ACG event, from experience, original IP don't really sell as well. But so certain artists like me, the way I adapted is I would even sell things like 50-50 is IP, or even 60% is fan art, 40% is my own IP, just because it does better in that kind of crowd. So it's a bit hard saying that, because if you're leaning towards IP, but the majority of crowd that comes to these kinds of events will go for more fan art rather than the original IP.
We agree, and we think that, to tell the truth, even for this year, it's going to be more fan art first compared to personal IP, because with this being announced now, right, not many of you can actually push your own IP now in time. So we understand it's going to be, at least for this year, it's going to be more fan art, a little less IP. But the whole point is that we're trying to say is that as long as you're pushing your own IP, you are probably more favored. Okay? So I want to make this clear. I don't want later it's like, hey, how come I didn't get the booth, she get the booth? It's because we are going to be looking, do they have their own IP or not first? But whether or not 70%, 30 or 60, 40 or 50, 50, that is at this current moment just experimental.
Hello. Yeah. I'd like to add, considering you mentioned IP is one of the priority focus moving forward, right? Does it really have to be Borneo related or culturally? Okay. Yeah.
Anything, as long as your own IP.
Okay, then I'm glad to hear.
Because even in the recent Sabah Comic and Creative, there were guys that were selling very cyberpunk-ish theme, but it's their own thing, so we were all okay with that.
Have you considered maybe using one of the other events to focus on that? Because in KL, there's CAF KL, which is supposedly, they focus on origin, which is why people go there for. So, a lot of, not to say they are, but we know that they are newbie weeps. They only here for anime. So if you want to promote OC's original art, I think it's better that they have one event that focuses on it, so people know what they're going to. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Yeah, good. And actually, that one is where Sabah Comic and Creative plan to go to. That's why Sabah Comic and Creative decided this year. And again, I don't want to give the impression that I'm boycotting you guys. It's just that Sabah Comic and Creative last year, when we hosted it, yes, familiar faces, yes, a lot of fan art. It just didn't sit well with us, because that's not what we planned to do. They still know Sabah Comic, and there's still just a 2-day event of buy, sell, and then everybody go off. That's why this second one, we experimented that. And yeah, for the separate event, for that kind of focus, it will be in Sabah Comic and Creative. So yes, if you are feeling like, I want to go all in on my IP and OC, but I don't want to put it in Hobbycon because that's a very ACG event, right? Okay, put that in Sabah Comic and Creative now, because that's where it's meant to be. Okay? In fact, because of this direction, you can say every mini event that we are hosting now wants to have its own hat, instead of just copy Hobbycon, copy Hobbycon, copy Hobbycon. All right? So anime star performance, the one that we tried this year, we actually wanted that to be more towards performance. We wanted to try, of course, it's still, at its current moment, still a lot of splurge over, but we wanted that to be more performance. Sabah Comic and Creative, we don't want it to be another fan art, we want it to be more creative and local. Okay? Sabah Otaku Market, that's the one where, all out you go do what you want. So, yeah. See any more questions at the moment regarding this? Yeah.
Also, back to the Hobbycon leading towards the own IP thing, right? And then this year, it's still experimental. We're not going forth with the 70-30. Will be high priority.
Yeah.
In the future, when Hobbycon does do that, it would be nice if artists get a heads up when they start wanting to go for the IP more, because it gives us more time. For example, if we still want to booth at the event, then we can prepare merch that would lean more in the direction that you're heading to. That would be really nice.
Correct. And that's why I want to say thank you for coming to this town hall, because I'm giving you that heads up first, and we will be posting that big, both the apology and also this direction that we're going for future Hobbycon 2026 onwards. Okay? So you got your heads up now. Whether or not you can rush for an IP this year, it does not matter. It's just letting you know so you got next year to think about. All right? But yeah, thank you very much. So, yes, go ahead. Ask as you can.
So regarding that, is it focused only on Hobbycon, or also including the other events that Hobbycon is running in collaboration with other organizers that you'll be doing? No, just Hobbycon itself.
Hobbycon will put, like I said, a little bit more leaning towards IP. Sabah Comic and Creative will very welcome you if you're doing your own IP. But other events I cannot say. I mean, it's probably open lah.
Okay, I just wanted clarification. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Boleh.